Folks, welcome back to another episode of the Blockbuster Brothers. Today we are talking about Deep Cover, not the defensive formation in a Madden game, but the new movie from Amazon Prime starring Bryce Dallas Howard, Orlando Bloom, and Nick Mohammed. It is a comedy action film. Brian, what'd you think?
Well, first off, that was an excellent joke. You almost botched it afterwards. I was like, "Come on, you gotta pull it through for this joke." That was a great one. But despite the quality of the joke, I wish that the show had the same quality as the joke did. I think there was a lot of stars in this, or they threw kind of Nate from Ted Lasso. You haven't seen Orlando Bloom do much in a while. The dude. Talk about, sorry, this is a total deviation, but can you believe that like Orlando Bloom's run in the beginning of his career, just like stepping out of nowhere and being like Legolas and then William Turner in Pirates of the Caribbean. And then he's like,
Oh, yeah.
all right, I don't need to do anything ever again. He's just been chilling and like, I guess, married to Katy Perry now. And that's a whole nother subject that we won't dive into. But I actually liked Orlando's energy, but there was something like stale. It felt like they almost had like this. They left the shots up long of like, it was like almost like felt like they were trying to do the oneers without the movement, and it just like was just I needed a little bit more of like cutting of like singles on them instead of like this wide shot, and it just like gave me an error. I'm probably gonna get ragged for this, but just calling it how I felt it. I mean, you're free to feel and tell me that I'm wrong. I welcome that entirely. But that's just how I felt. I thought this was kind of like, hey, you threw your stars at it, and it was over like not like a style over substance, but like character or like stars over substance is what I'm going to start calling it now. Where it's like a little bit of a cameo thing. I thought it had some heart, though. It was just kind of more so with the cinematography, blocking, and just tightening up the script was just areas, it kind of felt like Jackpot a little bit of like that's where this is kind of fills in the same vein with Prime doing Jackpot, where they're throwing the money at it, they're throwing you the stars, but the story isn't really there, and it lacks that heart and cohesion. That's kind of like an intangible part. Like again, when you talk about the heart of a movie, the soul, it just feels like it lacked that. And that feels harsh, and I am being harsh. It definitely has some good moments. But Steven, any last knots before I just maybe to cheer everybody up? I'm being a jerk.
No, you're not. And I think your assessment is valid. I think, in my opinion, this was better than Jackpot, and certainly better than Netflix's Lift with Kevin Hart, one of the worst movies I've ever seen in the last few years. So I think this was, so I'm hating now. Sorry. But this was solid. And you know what? We'll take it. So unless you got any other thoughts, Brian, that is Deep Cover 2025, Amazon Prime. We'll see you next time.
Peace.